Australian Television Network and Associated Stations presents The Bert Newman Show.
Hi. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you, very nice of you. Who saw the... And good afternoon, welcome to the show. It's great to have your company. Who saw the Comedy Company last night? Yes? Did you see that dreadful Mark Mitchell doing an impression of me? All I want to know is, I'm 50 years of age. I'm very happily married. Before I was married, I had quite a number of girlfriends. Most of whom have since died, I might mention. No. I've got 2 children whom I love dearly, and who knows what could happen in the near future. Why does everyone make me so gay? Mark Mitchell came out last night and did the full, hi and welcome to the show. Isn't it wonderful to see you and the whole... I'm not like that. Peter, you've worked with me now for how long? 4 weeks, 5 weeks?
4 weeks, yeah.
I'm not that way, am I? No. Have a nice show, Chuckers. All the best. What is this I see over yonder with the band? Brand new jackets. Can you see them there? Goodness gracious. We'd like to thank Captain Snooze for providing... No, they look very nice indeed. Today's show looks like a lot of fun and some very nice people for you to meet, including our first guest star for this afternoon. You know, he's worked so well, and since appearing on a very famous television show for a number of years, since then he's done lots of club work. That's what Mark said I kept doing last night too, fixing my I do that, don't I? Yes, well, I'll stop that. I promise you I'll never do that again. He's also appeared in Neighbours, and he's the one, the only, Joe Perrone.
Sitting at the bus stop alive. Nowhere left to go. Oh, you left me in the cold. Next thing that comes, I'm taking it for a ride. The damage has been done, and now I wanna ride. Oh, I need a soul. Myself in so deep. I'm doing all my cards. Who gave you the ace of hearts? Yeah, how did I know you were playing this game for keeps? You showed your expertise to bring a man to his knees. Ow, I need a soul revival. I'm learning the art of survival. Gonna break these chains, the shackles you put on me. And girl, you proved to me that things ain't always what they seem. I woke up from a dream to find that my house was on fire. I need a soul revival. I'm learning the art of survival. Gonna break these chains, the shackles you put on me. Ow! Ooh, yeah. I need a soul revival. I'm learning the art of survival, yeah. And nobody needs a reason to be free. Ooh, 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 yeah. Ow!
Yeah, I feel like Molly Meldrum. What a great song from Joe Perrone. Thank you, Joe, very much. Terrific to have you on the show, Joe. And just have a look at Joe, just for a second, if we can. Can we have a look at Joe, just for a... Oh, yes, there he is. Oh, hello. The scenery's disappeared.
And Barney.
Yeah, Joe, it's... sorry? Oh, that's
Barney the dog.
Oh, great. No need to shout, Joe. I can hear you. Yeah, is he your dog?
No, he's not.
Oh, right. Would you like him?
Pardon?
Would you like him?
Okay.
Okay, we'll make a present. The dog's yours, Joe.
Thank you.
And I didn't... Okay. And I didn't mention Young Talentine once. Joe, incidentally, where did you get all of that hair? I would absolutely...
It's a wig.
I would kill for it, Joe. Thanks for being on the show, and nice to have you here.
Thank you.
All the best, Joe. My love to everyone. Back in... he's one of those little guys, isn't he? Oh, yeah, very, very butch. Mark Mitchell, you're watching? One of my butch mates over there. In 1976, Anita Roddick opened a small shop in Brighton, England, called The Body Shop, with, I think it was a £4,000 loan. We'll find out about that in just a few moments' time. Today, there are over 300 body shops in countries all around the world. And I'd like you to make welcome our special guest for today, Anita Roddick. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
You told me during Joe's number you were going to say hello, sailor.
Yes, I was.
Anita, you're a millionaire now, this is well documented, in 13 years. Not a bad effort. How did you do it?
I think it was a hell of a lot. It's to do with the fact that I'm an immigrant, a child of an immigrant family, and so you have no work ethic. You've got to work wherever they set up their own businesses. So at 10 years old, I was shoved into the cafe, learning how to do ice cream sundaes, and there's a sort of sense of dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction creates an enormous amount of energy, and whenever I'm dissatisfied about anything, I push that into some sort of practical way of doing things. And thirdly, I had the most brilliant teachers who loved the fact that I was different, endorsed it, told me I was special from year 10, and so you wear that very comfortably, and hey presto, that's how you do it.
Yeah, but it's certainly not quite as simple as that. What about your interest? What led you into this area?
The interest of the body shop? Well, there was nothing else I knew. I was a teacher. I'd worked for the United Nations. I spent a year travelling around the world, living in island communities, Mauritius, La Reunion, Madagascar, Polynesian Islands, New Hebrides. And I didn't you just live with the families, you live with the natives, and I learned very fast that you can do a hell of a lot of things differently on the body. You can clean the skin, you can wash and polish the hair in ways that I'd never thought. So you pick up those ideas with you, and they sort of rested in the brain cells for about 10 years until my husband said he wanted to ride a horse from Argentina to New York, and the kids were young. They were about 6 and 4, and I thought, well, what do? I have to open up a little shop. So I opened up what I knew about, which was these extraordinary ingredients to clean the body.
And they're all natural?
A lot of it, yes. We have an incredibly strong belief that we should put as much natural ingredients as possible, that we should go and look and source these products in third world countries. There should be absolutely no testing at all on animals. I find that so obscene for something as irrelevant as a moisture cream to cause any suffering. And to get incredibly excited about what we can do with the profits. So that's what we do.
When you received the Company of the Year award, you were quite scathing about big business. What have you got against big business as it operates today?
I find businesses in any profession is probably the most conservative and pedantic and boring. They're run by men, usually about 65 plus, who have no belief at all that they should be the agents of social change. Okay, so you flew down into Sydney, and if 500, no, it's the wrong example. Let's say London, 500 years ago, what would draw you into London were the church spires or the church steeples? They gave the sort of a city a sense of purpose. You go into London now and you have huge edifices to money and to business, and there is no sense of purpose with that. And we see what's happening in the government in England, where the government is pulling back education, social services. Businesses have got to push forward. They've got to be much more linked with the community. They've got to fly the flag of social change. So I basically said, you're fearful, you try and talk about the word love. You bring up the word love in business. It's as fearful as any other, the other four-letter word. You can't talk about it. It's too feminine for them. And
that's not just big business, though. That's almost life generally in many quarters, isn't it? To talk about love and to express love.
I think men don't want to come out of the closet in business in terms of talking about loving their staff, putting their love back into where their labour is, in terms of empowering staff. Now, this is a mega problem in England. You try and empower staff without being in fear of them, and you've got whole businesses that are, wouldn't know what you were talking about. Education in business. We have a real belief that you should continue the education programme. So instead of, leaving school at 18 and then going to work and never being educated again on certain world issues, global issues, and then, picking it up when you retire. Well, that's not the way we do it.
Anita, is it possible then, if we're not expressing love and we're terrified of talking about love, that around the world that's the reason our environment is suffering so badly?
It's just that I think we have to now... Yeah, I agree. That's the answer to that. And I think, we've got a real belief. When I went into the rainforests a few months ago to help set up, the Body Shop did quite a lot of interesting work in setting up this Altamira experiences where we got all the tribal leaders together who were protesting about what's happening in the rainforest in Brazil. And one of the tribal leaders said to me, which was just electric, he said, just look at the rainforest as if you're looking at things for the last time. And if you take that into your head, and everybody out here, you and me, my kids especially, are as powerful as the most powerful person on the planet, but we've got an enormous responsibility, because unless we get our act together, nothing is going to be left for our grandkids.
Well, OK, Anita, how do we do it? Do we do it through governments?
I actually think, certainly governments have got to do something. We have to bring back a powerful way of saying, listen to us, listen to the people. The people have got to express their distaste, they've got to express it's obscene what's happening to the planet, and all for the sake of big business. And unless the people out there can believe that they're the agents for change and can think that they're as powerful as the most powerful person, I don't think we're going to, get too far. So it's got a vocabulary of empowerment. You've got to be able to protest. When's the last letter you ever wrote to the government or to big business saying, stop this? I'm a citizen, I don't want this to happen. We've lost the art of letter writing. We've lost the art of protesting. And I think that's what we've got to do.
I suppose also you've got to make sure that the sort of issue like Greenpeace is a vote catcher, which it is now here in Australia, by the way. And that's got to be an advantage, hasn't it? Because then political parties are going to move, if even for the wrong reasons, they're going to move in the right direction.
Well, they're reactive. I'm my biggest, everyone's saying, God, 5 years a Body Shop has been being a force for social change, trying to educate themselves and the customers. But 5 years ago, we were told we've been political, we were told we were left-wing, that there wasn't much difference from us and crazy people. Now, Mrs. Thatcher's decided, she's going to be a Green Prime Minister. Brilliant, let's see if it's just green rhetoric. If it isn't, brilliant. We've got somebody there. Now we're normal. Now we're being patted on the back. So we'll see.
Anita, are you confident for the future?
Unless we can get our act together, unless the citizens of the world can get their act together, I have absolute belief it's not going to survive. We've got 25 years of leaving the rainforest. They'll be eliminated in 25 years, the rate we're going. For what? For mahogany lavatory seats? For bloody hamburgers? For coffins? We've got to get our act together and start using the rainforests as a sort of resource that is sustainable. How many of your rainforests are left? Temperate, whatever.
Well, they're being depleted, aren't they?
And what about the way we're protecting these indigenous tribes? They are the only custodians of the planet. They know how to look after the rainforest. You go into the rainforest and you chop down the trees, and what you've got is something that looks like this carpet, sand. That's all. All the value is in the covering plants. Now the Indians know how to treat it. They know how to grow Brazil nut trees, which a great amount of money you can get from Brazil nut trees. But it's this manic obsession. We're like lemmings just falling off the edge of a cliff.
That's not a bad idea, actually. In other words, take the advice of the custodians.
I believe so.
Anita, thank you for being here today. It's been a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
Anita Roddick, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I've got to do it, Mark, when it's like that. I'm sorry. I've got to do it when it's hanging over your shoulder. A very special event occurred in Maitland, New South Wales at the weekend. 28 debutantes had the night of their lives when they were presented to the Mayor at a glittering occasion attended by our own Mr. Jonathan Coleman. send it up, Jonathan. I mean, I'm 50 years of age. Perhaps this is a brand new career for me, a new audience waiting for me out there.
Yes. No, actually, I mean, Bert, on Sunday nights I watch Australia's Most Wanted on the Australian Television Network,
Yes.
a fine program.
Yes.
And there was a guy doing an impersonation of you, but he had like a little black thing over his
Thank
eyes.
you. By the way, Jonathan, nothing personal asking you to follow the Jenny Craig commercial.
Yes, that's right. I know. There was a lady back there saying, "Excuse me, Jonathan, we could do wonders for your suit."
Excuse me, that's not a lady, that's our producer.
I'm sorry, I met him. He's a very good dancer, actually. Maitland.
Mate, what happened there?
It's a lot of guys going, "G'day, mate, how are you?" No, it's
That's
actually...
why it's called Maitland.
Maitland. It's a person land, actually. It's slightly sexist, but Maitland is a fantastic place. It's above and inland from Newcastle. And what happened was that they had a debutante's ball for people who grew up in the Depression or grew up sort of during the war, and they didn't get a chance to debut.
Well, they'd be relatively elderly debutantes.
Well, they're sort of basically 70 plus, my kind of woman.
Yes.
Probably a bit young for you though, Bert.
Had you made your debut before the weekend?
No, not at all. I'd done a few boos, but no debuts.
Right.
So I decided to trek up there in my own car at my own expense, and I will be sending you a small bill for that.
Right.
Hell of a lot of petrol. But I went up to Maitland. I got myself a blind date, which isn't a bad name for a TV show. But
Was she nice?
She was beautiful, Jean Burgess.
Jean
Anyway,
Burgess.
what I did was I took the crew, the crew that we have here that sort of leans against things and smokes a lot of cigarettes. I took them with me to Maitland, and we sort of did a bit of a sort of home movie, and I thought would you like to see the movie?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Well, as they say on television, can we roll the videotape, please? Bing bong. Prince Charming's here. Hello.
Hello, Jonathan.
Jean Burgess?
Yes?
Jonathan Coleman?
Yeah, well, I have to kiss you on your kiss. I don't care what you do.
I have a little corsage for you.
Oh, that's lovely.
You look absolutely... Doesn't she look stunning?
And it's just the right colour. You look nice,
Oh,
too.
thank you very much. I tried my best.
Except for the socks.
The socks, these are a little bit of a highlight. They're great when you're dancing on the floor, just the colour, the orange sort of, you know.
Can you do the St. Bernard's waltz?
The St. Bernard's waltz. I used to have a St. Bernard, so it should be fine. I'll pick it up, no problems at all. I love animals too.
It'll be a crash course when we get there.
So off we went to the beautiful Maitland Town Hall, that's it there, and there's the car. We actually hired that car. You'll be getting a bill for the limo, thank you very much. And also we had some photos taken. We'll get a bill for those. They're going to mail all those bills to the show. And that's what you call kicking the carpet. And that's me and the very lovely Jean Burgess coming down the aisle. Jean is about to go up and meet the Lord Mayor of Maitland, who is also a very butch sort of character. And
Jenny Craig wouldn't be astray with him.
No, there's a lot of Jenny Craig potential there. That's this is where we start doing the waltz. So these, see, look, that's me getting a bit of.
You always handle heavy metal very well, don't you?
Oh yes, I handle anything heavy well. This is us trying to do the St. Bernard's.
Is that in
waltz.
slow motion or is that the right
No,
speed?
that's the right speed. I'm getting tired. See, this Jean, I mean, these older women, the more mature women, they just dance and dance until the night, you know, just goes to the morning. Oh, you bump into people. Oh, we bumped into a few people there.
It reminds me of my wedding reception.
Exactly. See, I'm getting a bit tired here. I'm just taking a bit of a wallflower. Take it easy. And Jean's going, come on, Johnny, come and dance. She wants to boogaloo and get down and get funky. And
Jean, you old boogalooer.
I just can't work out how they do it. And there she is. She meets this guy. I mean, I can't believe it. This guy, Len, sort of zeroed in on Jean. I'm trying to cut in here and say, excuse me, Len, excuse me, my dance. And he says, look, he said bugger off, Pat, basically. But you can't say that on television.
Yeah, I got it, mate.
This is me actually tired. It's about 12:15, something like that. Excuse me, sorry. Jean, it's 12:30. I'm really starting to get a bit tired. I think maybe we should call it a night.
Oh, no, not yet.
Come on, you've been dancing all night. I'm exhausted, honestly.
Are you going with this mug all night?
Yes, but I want more. I want more.
More.
Yeah,
Well, listen,
more.
I think I better go home because I'm a bit tired and...
I think I'd better say good night, John.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll say good night. Jean, what about a little... Oh.
These youngsters, they just can't take it.
And he's so good looking too.
He said I was good looking.
Good on you.
Yeah.
She seemed a lovely lady.
Actually, ladies and gentlemen, mums and dads, everybody at home, I always, whenever I do one of these segments, Bert, as you know, I always bring treats for yourself and the studio audience. And for the people who have their own teeth today, I've brought you back, I don't know if you can see this on 4 maybe, a nice piece of cake all the way from Maitland. There you go.
Yes.
One bite and pass it on.
Yes. Well, I won't. I'm on a Jenny Craig diet at the moment.
Well,
so
that's good. It's full of fruit.
You sure?
It'll keep you regular.
It's none of your business.
Oh, no, Paddy's had a word to me. It's good for the hair, too, they said. Very good for
Isn't
hair.
that revolting? Which paddock did you find it in?
Oh, yeah. Actually, no, there was a guy at the back saying, "Would you like to buy some cake, Jono?"
Well, thank you for that. I'll give it to the lucky audience member today. That'll be the prize.
Yeah, what you do is you just have a bite and pass it on. But it was great. And also thanks to Shirley Barrett, who came up with me and actually edited that story altogether.
Who's Shirley Barrett?
Shirley is a very close personal friend of mine.
Oh, good. Well, I hope you had a nice weekend at our expense.
No,
Jonathan.
we
and love to Jean and everybody in Maitland.
Jean Burgess, and a very hello to everyone at Maitland.
Jonathan Coleman, ladies and gentlemen. Great to see you, John.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, mate. And love the socks.
Oh, the socks.
They look good.
They wanted me to take them off.
You'll be interested in this. Leonard Teale, one of Australia's best ever actors.
There was movement at the station.
That's right. Well, of course, he does a lot of the Banjo Paterson material, but also well known for Homicide too. Just to prove that it is hereditary talent, his daughters are with us today, Jennifer and Melinda. Please welcome Twice Teale.
He was a famous drummer man around Chicago way. He had a boogie sound that no one else could play. He was a top man at his craft. But then his number came up and he was caught in the draft. He's in the army now, I'm on reveille. He's the boogie bugle bob company thief. They made a blow bugle bar his Uncle Sam. He really brought it down because he couldn't jail. The captain seemed to understand. Because next to the cat when I was drafted a band. And now the company jumps when he plays reveille. He's the boogie bugle bob company thief. A really attitude, he moves at 8 to the bar. And boogie with, yeah, no one known unless the bass guitar is playing with him. And the company jumps and he goes reveille. He's the boogie bugle bob company thief. He was some boogie bugle bob company thief. And when he plays boogie bugle, he was busy as a busy bee. And when he made the company jump 8 to the bar, he's the boogie bugle bob company thief. But out of roots, he got a do-do, he blows it 8 to the bar. Yeah, but out of the basic guitars with him. And the company jumps and he goes reveille. He's the boogie bugle bob company thief. Every night and wakes them up the same way in the early ride. And clap their hands and stamp their feet, cause they know how it goes and someone gives them a beat. Whoa, whoa, he makes it up when he plays them a lead. Boogie bugle bob company beat. I really have to toot his loud at 8 to the bar. Can't roll down the basic guitar. I'm with him. And the company jumps and he plays reveille. He's the boogie bugle bob company beat.
Great girls. Twice Teale, Jennifer and Melinda. Come on over and say hello. Jennifer and Melinda. Please do. Hi, Jennifer. Nice to see you. And Melinda. I had to invite you over to the host area because, as I mentioned to you at rehearsal, your dad and I have been friends for a long, long time, and I haven't seen him for a long time, and just simply pass on to him my very best wishes, won't you?
We certainly will, yeah.
Do you see very much of him?
Yes, we do actually, yeah.
What does he think about you going into show business?
Well, at first he wasn't sure, but since we really decided, because he didn't want to sort of push us or anything, so seeing we wanted to do it, he's been very supportive.
Will you ring him after the show today to find out what he thought?
Yes, of course.
You won't need to. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Leonard Teale. Sit down there, mate.
Thank you. Where are you going to sit?
Len, there are very few people in Australia, particularly actors, that I would allow to sit in my chair.
No, what am I doing
they get used to it, you know what I mean? There'd be a lot of people watching the show today, Len, who'd be thrilled just to see you back on television. You look absolutely... You haven't changed.
Oh, aren't you beautiful? Isn't that wonderful?
What's the secret of success?
Working.
Working, is it? Trying to get that elusive quid.
Yeah.
I guess, girls, you wouldn't be really old enough to remember the very halcyon years of Dad in Homicide, would you? You couldn't.
Oh, yeah, just.
Never forget it. Nothing. It was
What,
great.
Dad keeps doing the reruns at home, making sure you like it. I think we've got some stuff here too, some footage from Homicide, in which we revisit this great... Just have a look at this, Len, if you can. This great Australian... A lot of getting in cars and getting out of cars in Homicide, wasn't there?
Yeah, a lot of slamming doors.
Look at that hair.
Makes you feel envious?
Yeah, and yes. Well, you see, there hasn't been all that much change. Maybe just a... That's just to fill in time. There are lots of people, of course, who go back a little further than Homicide, and they remember Len as one of Australia's great radio actors. Now, there's no way known, girls, that you could remember your dad as Superman.
No, I remember that.
Nor do I, but my mum and dad have told me about it. We've got just a little audio track here. Remembering this is 1948. This is 41 years ago. The war had just finished here in Australia. And Superman, in the guise of Clark Kent working at the Daily Planet, was doing a lot of great work in helping to catch all the crime fighters and also to save people in dastardly situations. And on this grab we've got, you've just, if you might remember, back in 1948, you've just saved a bus. You've grabbed a bus as it went over the cliff and you've put it back on the road, and I think one of the kids on board the bus wants to think. Have a listen to this.
How about a newspaper? A great metropolitan daily. Newspaper? Yes, join their staff. Be a reporter.
Oh, but you can't do it in those clothes. Not that blue costume with the cloak and the shield on your breast. Gee, you couldn't.
Jimmy, these are the cloak and shield of Superman. If I become as other men, I shall dress as other men. Well, you'll have to assume some kind of a name. What do they call you? I have no name.
Well, how about Clark Kent? That sounds all right.
Yes, why not? It's usual enough. Won't attract attention. Clark Kent. Clark Kent.
My dear friend, Clark Sinclair, who's a great nostalgia buff. And I've got to tell you, Len, I mean, as much as I loved you in Superman, hearing it now in 1989, God, you took yourself seriously, didn't you, Superman? Clark Kent. Clark Kent.
That was the thinking voice for radio.
And also the way in which you took so much time in everything because it had to fill out for 12 and a half minutes.
That's right.
Len, what about the situation with the acting industry today? Do you think it's easier for Australian actors today as against, say, 30, 40 years ago?
Oh, I think it's about the same as it always was, Bert.
Hard life?
Yeah, reasonably, because in the industry there's an average. I mean, this is a terrible thing for people to know, but it's absolutely true, that there is an average unemployment rate of 80%.
Yes.
All the time.
Well, we all know that.
And
yeah.
it's not just Australia.
2 years of it.
You've done your 80%. It's not just in Australia. It's England, Europe, America, everywhere.
Sure. Len, this is a question without notice. My God, I feel as if I'm with the Pope. This is a question without notice. You're very famous for your poetry work too, and we haven't seen each other before the show. This is the first time we've seen each other in a couple of years now. Is there just a stanza or a verse that you could do for us? If you don't want to, you can come back and do it.
That's a bit of a hard one. Somebody did it to me the other day, and it was only just one stanza. I mean, most of them will not stand by themselves because they're stories. But I was comparing a basketball match, and there was a fella came on, and he was in the Australian basketball Olympic team here in 1956. And I said, what did it feel like? And he said, well, I can just tell you in your own words. He said, I love a sunburned country. A land of sweeping plains and ragged mountain ranges, of droughts and flooding rains. I love her far horizons. I love her jewel sea, her beauty and her terror, the wide brown land for me. And then he said, that just expresses the way that I felt when I was marching around the Melbourne cricket ground, and both at the opening. See, I go all strange when I say that. Yeah, because it just does so much for me. It tells me that this, and I feel it so deeply, that we are so lucky to live in this country.
The one line I love in that is, all you who have not loved her. I sometimes am able to say it too. All you who have not loved her, you would not understand.
That's right.
Len, lovely seeing you. Girls, great to have you on the show, and it was nice to have this mini reunion. Twice Teal and their dad, Leonard Teal. Great seeing you, Len. Stay there. We'll take a break, and after this break, we talk about a very serious subject. Having Len on the show has made everyone become very poetic. I've got to mention that John Dinks, my announcer for today, has entertained right throughout that entire commercial break doing poetry. What were you doing, John? What were they?
Well, I thought if Leonard Teal can do all those wonderful things, I thought I'd tell my famous pirate joke, which I've been telling.
We might do our Christmas show. That'll be the last show for the year. Might be an appropriate one. Oh, it was great seeing Len, wasn't it? And I love that. I love a sunburned country, a land of sweeping plains, of
do the flowers. Do the flowers.
You've ruined my tag then, John.
Oh, sorry.
I wish the other boy was in today. Could you ruin my tag completely? I have to keep it now for another day. Anyway, your stuff was good, and I promise you can do your pirates joke toward the end of the year.
Thank you very much, Bert.
If you're still with us. As on a serious note now, as I've already mentioned on the show, this year we intend to pursue the subject of Australia's horrific road toll. And today we're talking to a man who's turned his personal grief into a national campaign against drink driving. Please welcome Neville Hughes. Welcome to the show, Neville.
Thank you very much indeed.
Stay alive, don't drink drive, which of course the initials become Sad Dad. That's a good indication of the sort of organisation that you've begun. Perhaps the best spot to start at, Neville, would be to tell us the story of your personal grief.
Yes, well, I lost my daughter in December of '87 in a car accident with a drunk driver who was already on bail for a drinking offence, for a drink driving offence. His alcohol content from the first charge was middle to high range. The second charge, it was when my daughter lost her life, his alcohol content was more than 3 times the legal limit. 2 other girls in the accident were very, very seriously injured. One has got brain damage and is intellectually impaired for the rest of her life. And another child lost her arm at the shoulder, a young girl, actually.
How old was your daughter?
18.
And this is when?
In December of '87.
Right. Well, in that ensuing time, in the 18 months or whatever, obviously, as I mentioned in my introduction to you, from what I've read about you, you decided to take positive action. I mean, the grief that you feel could be understood only by those people who've been through the same sort of grief. And I guess there are 2 ways to go in circumstances like this: to have your own life just come to an end, seemingly, or do something about it. And you decided to do something about it.
Yes, well, initially we all suffered, as one would appreciate, complete devastation. We went through a period of grief, which obviously, as one could realise, we still suffer from. After the actual court case, we decided that we should form a public meeting and meet discussing it with friends and do something about it. It's a tragic thing to happen to anybody. You've got relatives and friends that are, 50 or 60 people are affected, with each individual that either loses their life or is injured in a car accident. And laws are such in the state of New South Wales where a person can be charged with a drink driving offence and, in essence, walk out of the police station, hop in his car and do the same damn thing again. Now, Victoria are a little bit more advanced. They have the power of the Victorian police to suspend the licences on a high range only from 0.15 and over, and taking in mind that is 3 times the legal limit. The police have the power to suspend the licence immediately until such times as that person is taken before the court and dealt with. And it's very, very sad that we haven't got that same situation nationally throughout all the states of Australia. And we're endeavouring to do that. And in doing so, save a lot of lives and save a lot of people from becoming very seriously injured.
So apart from the lobbying to get the law changed, do you also have any counselling services with your organisation to help the bereaved people?
Yes, we have. We're open for anybody to phone us, to talk to us, to come to us. We have, one could say, no professional people to handle that situation, but neither again has any state where they have got no trauma centres set up to handle accident victims. And our idea was to see if we could get a national fund in the long term to get some sort of personalities and that behind us to enable us to do this, so we could set up trauma centres throughout the various cities of Australia to be able to handle that.
Now, just back to that initial impact when you receive that news that you've lost your child or you've lost a loved one in a road accident and there's drink driving involved. I mean, the anger you feel inside, it must be very hard to control. Did you, early in the piece, did you want to take the law into your own hands?
That certainly goes through your mind. I'm probably a little bit fortunate in the sense that I have some very, very dear friends who are have been very supportive and still are, and very advisable. And I had, somebody very close to turn to. But apart from the initial shock, and the first thing that hits your mind, and it's the thing that hits everybody's mind throughout Australia, why is it me? And the thing that hits people's minds, and people don't think about, is it's not going to happen to me, so why worry about it? And it's just so untrue, and this is the point we've really got to get across.
What about your marriage? Because quite often in a case like this, when a loved one has gone under these circumstances, one of two things happens, and that is that the marriage or the partnership is strengthened or it starts to fall apart.
Well, the girl's mum and I were divorced at the particular time of the accident, but we have a friendly relationship, and we still do have a friendly relationship. We have another daughter who's now 18 years of age, who's gone through a very, very sad time over the loss of her sister. And I have a daughter who's 10 years of age. It's actually Karen's stepsister. And even that little girl at 8, years of 8 and 9 years of age, when she heard Karen's favourite song played on the radio, would completely break down herself, It's devastating. One can't impress upon the public so much that, for God's sake, unless you get behind us and do something about us and support us, you could be the next victim.
Where can people contact you?
I can be contacted by telephone in Newcastle at New South Wales. The phone number is 049 437 667, or the address is 2/39 Edward Street, Charlestown, Newcastle, 2290 is the postcode.
We'll keep that on file. Anybody who didn't manage to get it down, if they write to the show, we'll pass it on. Neville, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much indeed, Bert.
And Neville Beers. We'll take a break. Welcome back. Most parents worry about violence on TV and video, but how much do we know about it, and how damaging is it to our children? And here's a man who may just have the answer. Please welcome Professor Brent Waters. Brent? I think it is true to say that all parents worry about violence, and not necessarily just parents alone, but people generally. But just how damaging is it to young children?
Well, I think parents have got a right to worry. Their kids watch an awful lot of television that's got a very high violent content, averaging around 8 episodes per hour. Pretty highly dense, violent stuff.
And how young are the kids to be affected?
Well, certainly children who are at school start to show clear effects of violence, particularly kids in early primary school. They see a lot of violence at home. They're more likely to be aggressive at school, aggressive in the home as well, more irritable, more difficult to control for their parents.
And are they influenced by this violence in their own lives as they grow up?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, are they, seeing all this violence on television and videos,
Right.
does it affect what they're going to be like as people in later life?
Well, it appears that that's so. It's really quite worrying that people who've watched a lot of violence when they were children appear, even when they're young adults, to be still more violent than you'd expect.
We're talking before the show, and with the producer of the show and assistant producer and one of the researchers, and it was very interesting. They were talking about things that terrified them when they were kids. And they were absolutely besotted and then also affected by things like Bambi, Hansel and Gretel. I mean, they're a pretty wimpish lot, I might mention. And the other one, and Snow White. Now, I mean, perhaps it's always been thus.
Well, I think children have always had the tendency to get fearful. I mean, that's a part of growing up, really, that there's a lot of frightening things out there in the world, and you gradually get less and less frightened about them, get more and more confident, and eventually you don't have any great deal of worries. I guess television provides an easy diet of that sort of stuff now. Centuries ago it was fairy tales, the Grimm brothers, that sort of stuff.
And they were just that, weren't they, the Grimm brothers? The Brothers Grimm, they were very grim storytellers.
Well, I think that their appeal was that they got right to the heart of children's fears, and the medium now is so sophisticated that it does a very good job of that as well. With younger children too, there are special sorts of things that frighten them about Bambi and stuff like that. With younger children, they tend to be more frightened by things which adults wouldn't see as real, but where there's metamorphosing of things from one shape into another. A lot of that on cartoons now. Trucks turn into... Sorry, go on.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, the Transformers and those sorts of things, although I don't think that they're necessarily all that fearful, but the transmutation from one life form into another, whereas with older children, 7, 8, 9, 10, their feet are more on the ground in terms of reality, so the things that frighten them are the news, docudramas and stuff like that.
Right. One dimension, I mean, my real fear is not cartoons and not even drama shows, because I can explain that to my kids, but I can't explain away the news.
That's true. And the news, of course, isn't really the news. The news is the newsmaker's version of the news. It's a condensation of the most dramatic, the most frightening. What was on television last night, for example, from the disaster in Britain, was a highly condensed version of what happened that was constructed by the newsmakers in such a way as to have a particular impact on the audience. And I'm sure that for a lot of people it was very frightening. I mean, there's no doubt for the people there it was extraordinarily frightening.
Right. I've read articles where it's been suggested that children should see psychiatrists if they have any problems in this area.
Right.
But I know there's something about a kid seeing a psychiatrist. I mean, how old should a kid be before all of a sudden they're into that area?
Well, you're speaking to the wrong person, because I'm a child psychiatrist and I think that we do have things to offer.
Yeah, I realise that. I'm not saying you don't, but it's a fear that most parents would have, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, these fears are very common. They probably affect 70 or 80% of kids at some time. I think parents need to have some balance, and they also need to know what they can do themselves. The vast majority of children's fears can be settled down by parents without any help at all. So if you've got a kid who's seen something very frightening on television and they're having nightmares for the next few nights about it, then I think a lot of parents would simply spend a bit of time with the child before they go to bed, tell them that it was just on the movies, it's not real, it's not going to come back in their dreams, and if they talk very hard to themselves before they go off to bed, they can stop those dreams happening.
Yeah, but I just want to tie up that little area there, the comment about kids going to see psychiatrists. I was under psychiatric treatment, I guess, 20 years ago after what was then called a nervous breakdown, and I was a bloke of 25, 30 years of age, and there was a dreadful stigma attached. I worry about kids seeing psychiatrists, and particularly other kids finding out, because they would then be dealt pretty bad hands, wouldn't they, by their contemporaries?
Oh, that's true. With teenagers, we have to be very careful about that. In fact, we sometimes construct little white lies to explain, for teenagers to use to their friends, to explain why it is that they're seeing a psychiatrist, because psychiatrists, as well as their patients, are enormously stigmatised in the media. That's a real problem, because I think that it actually stands between a lot of people getting the sort of help that they need and the help that is available.
Right, Brent, thanks very much indeed for being on the show today. It's been a pleasure meeting you. And the one thing I've got to tell you, as Brent will verify too, regardless of what you see in the movies, when you go into a psychiatrist's office, you don't lie down on the couch, unless you know the psychiatrist particularly well, I guess, but that doesn't happen, does it?
Not in my office.
No, it didn't happen in the office of my doctor either. She's quite a nice lady too. Professor, thanks for your time. Professor Brent Waters. We'll take a break. We're against time, John. Your pirate story, your Long John Silver story, will have to wait until tomorrow. Is that okay? We'll do it tomorrow?
Yes, do it. Great joke.
Okay, right. That's John Deakin. You'll see him tomorrow in his own spot doing his joke, about which I've had rave reports. Here's further proof that talent is hereditary. The Nisha Fitzgibbon Quintet, and you've probably guessed that she's the daughter of the wonderful late Smacker Fitzgibbon, and also indeed the niece of Maggie Fitzgibbon, one of the best performers I've seen ever in my life. Anyway, please make welcome the Nisha Fitzgibbon Quintet.
What is this thing called love? This funny thing called love. Now who can solve its mystery? Why should it make a fool of me? I saw you there one wonderful day. You took my heart, threw it away. That's why I asked the Lord in heaven above, what is this thing called love? Saw you there one wonderful day. You took my heart, threw it away. That's why I asked the Lord in heaven above, what is this thing called love? What is this thing called love? This funny, funny, funny thing. Now who can solve its mystery? Oh, why should it make a fool of me? I saw you there, oh, wonderful day. You took my heart, threw it away. That's why I asked the Lord in heaven above, what is this thing? This funny, funny thing. What is this thing called
Great stuff. Thank you, Nisha. Nisha Fitzgibbon. And the quintet then, what is this thing called love? That's the show for today. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for your company. And Mark Mitchell, I'll be after you. Goodbye now, and see you tomorrow.
When in Melbourne, our guests stay at the Hilton on the Park. This has been a Jim McKay production for the Australian Television Network.